County Real Estate Investors Association weekly podcast. We get together every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time, and talk about all things real estate investment. We live stream this on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. This is the official podcast for the monthly event, LA County Real Estate Investors Association. It's held every second Thursday of the month in the Culver City area. And we have about 250 people there. We have a great speaker usually each month. And then there's an expo with about 50 people there, a vendors expo. The speaker this month on March 9th will be Dan Costa on fixing and flipping the right way. It's a free event every single second Thursday of the month. And it's in Culver City area at the, where are the details here? There you go, Inman Center, Cultural Center on Motor Avenue, West LA, just south of the 10 freeway. And you go to LAREIC.com is the website with all the details. So I'd love to see you there. I'm a vendor, and have a table there and meet people there and participate all the time. So let's see. First up, we talk about all things real estate investing, whether you're brand new or you're an agent or a professional or vendor. Love to talk about real estate. When's it coming to, man? What is going on? Let's get you unmuted.
Hey, just a question for you, Bill. I would love to go to those programs that it's way up in Culver City. That's a long way from me. Does that ever get live streamed, recorded, replayed? Is there any way we can tap in and we can't make it up there that far that night?
First off, it's not up, it's down. I'm north of that, so it's down. If you're in the OC, it's up.
Yeah.
It's not that far. It's only 10 minutes from my house, and I'm the center of the world. But yeah, it is Culver City. So they don't record it really. They don't live stream it. I do have a live stream going on there before the program starts of the kind of the vendors. I'll interview some people who are there. But no, there's really no substitute, I don't think, for being there. It is the biggest event that I'm aware of monthly in LA. And so I do go there every month, because I'm a vendor there as well. But I don't think there's any way to see the program unless you're there physically.
Okay, thank you.
Or this podcast. And usually what I try to do is get the speakers on the podcast on my YouTube channel, or have them come back as guests afterwards. Okay. Thanks so much. It was great to see you. So just real quick, if you have a question, if you have a problem, came to the right spot, raise your hand, put in the chat box. It's meant to be participative. Most people in this program are starting out. They're looking to get started investing in real estate. And what I can tell you is the more you participate in anything in life, the more money you make, the more success you're going to have. And so if you have questions, you want to learn, you want to get involved, this is your chance to do that. Feel free to raise your hand in the Zoom or put it in the chat box, and we'd love to have you participate with that. Where's the market today? Who has any feedback on where is the market? So I'll give you a quick update from where I sit. One of the most important factors in the market, as I see it, is mortgage rates. They drove the value up when rates went down, and now they're back up. In fact, let me show you some numbers. This is the best source, I think, mortgagenewsdaily.com. It's free, mortgagenewsdaily.com. If you click on the top, it brings you on this graph. And if I just go back and change the time period to show you where rates gone this year, we had been, dropped below, down as low as 5.99, and today we're at 6.87%. So what does that mean? Well, I think if you look at it overall, if you go back a couple years, you'll see that rates are higher than they were pre-pandemic. We have to go back to, say, 2018, 2019 to get into the fives. So rates are definitely higher than they've been. We're in an inflationary time period, and is definitely slowing down some of the momentum of the real estate market, not all of it. I can just tell you, literally just today, I have one escrow where my buyer could be negotiating or could be backing out. She's not. She's spending money doing more investigations on a property in Malibu. I have another one that the buyer might have negotiated, might have backed out. He just cleared contingencies. I have a third property that we went to court 10 days ago for a court confirmation sale. And we went in to confirm a sale at 720, and it got a bid up to 920. So what I want to say is that the real estate market can go up and down. If you follow your program of success, you will always have an opportunity to make money. And that's the key here. I think that maybe there'll be less HGTV TV programs. There might be less, social media posts by people about how wonderful it is in real estate, making a lot of money without working hard. But I want to tell you, as a professional who's been in this business for 36 years, there's never been a better time to make money than right now. I worked hard, I saved money, and this is the opportunity that I've been working for the last few years. And you make your money when you buy a property, not when you sell it. When you buy property is when other people are in distress. So this is a time to learn and find a niche, find a system, a process, and work it and make some money at it. Okay, so Christopher has a question. Property is owned by a trust, is vacant and underwater. Distant Arizona had the trust as there was a fire in the house, and the sole attorney that prepared the trust died 15 years ago. India, other than probate in the state, asked the judge for property to be determined to be an asset of the estate and not in the trust. So if you don't have it, this is a challenge. I can't give you any legal advice, but from a business point, I've interviewed a number of attorneys. The question he's asking is, if a property has been deeded in a trust, but there's no trust documents to tell us what to do with it, what do we do with it? And the answer is determined in probate court. Probate court is where you don't have a clear plan. The court will help you clarify the plan and finish the job. So in this case, if it's in California, and then most likely what would happen would be you would petition either to act as though there is no trust, and you would ask the court to change the title of the property into the estate out of the trust, or you claim that there was a trust, but you can't find it. You have a copy of it that's unsigned, that's a different level. But if you have no copy of it, you basically are asking the court, we need to act as though there's no trust. And there's a notification process where you have to look for any errors and creditors and publicly announce it. And if, in fact, nobody raises their hand, the court more likely will determine the property will be adjudicated in probate court as if there was no trust, according to the laws of the state. So in California, we have a system that says, first priority is the wife or spouse, second priority is children, and so on and so forth. So though the court will review that and most likely, in my experience, determine that the trust has no bearing and will make the decisions as though it's being probated. Now, he's saying that, well, what if it's underwater? You got to pay money for that, and it's vacant. What happens if a property is underwater, it's not worth anything. In most counties, there's a public administrator who'll step in and file a probate case, even if there's no assets. That way the state takes back the property or the county, and then they can resell it. The interest of the state at that point is they want to sell it to somebody who's going to pay property taxes and live in the house and maintain it. So eventually it'll get sold to somebody, and most likely it will be through the process of a public administrator for that county. And so then Chris also says he's finding increased buyer interest in multiple offer scenarios. Well, I think you're right, Chris. I think that the normal buying season gets stronger from January 1st till after the Super Bowl, and now we're headed towards that period. And so ordinarily, you have more interest now, and I think the market overall is pretty good. So that's why even though rates have gone up a bit since, say, the year started, and we're not as high as we were in October. We had rates of 7.15%, slightly over 7. We're today still slightly below 7 at 6.7. So the 7% rates didn't cause the market to collapse. It slowed down the increase. And I suspect we're in the same boat right now. I don't have a crystal ball. Actually, I have a crystal ball. It's right there. If you look, there's my crystal ball. And I look at it all the time, but it doesn't tell me where rates are headed. So are we going to war with Russia? I hope not. We're going to war with China? I hope not. Those would change things quickly. Is the government going to get its act together and stop spending money like I don't want to insult drunken sailors, but like drunken somebody, probably not. So I don't have any crystal ball, but I would say, or I have one, just doesn't work. But I would say that, you have to predict the future and see where we're headed. Most likely the future is going to be like where we're at now, for whatever that means. Okay. Another question we have here, also from Chris. If you have losses from a rental but are not a real estate professional and have high income, any other way to attain depreciation benefits? So, one of the benefits of real estate is that there's tremendous tax benefits. One of them is depreciation. In fact, up until recently, we had, additional depreciation, bonus depreciation that accelerated basically the benefit of owning a property now. I made an investment last year. I invested $50,000 and I got a $41,000 loss on my tax returns. The property didn't really lose $41,000. A lot of that was money that had been invested in the property, but because it's going to wear out over the next 5 or 10 or 20 years, we get all that depreciation as a bonus in the beginning, which is great because it lowers your taxes right away. And over time, though, the bad news is you have to either pay back the depreciation when you sell the property with your profits, or roll over your profits into a 401k, into a 1031 or other tax deferred strategy. So depreciation is great, but I wouldn't make my strategies around depreciation. I would always, and this is something I learned from Grant Cardone, I would always make my strategy based on profit. Now, once you have profit, then you want to strategize how to minimize taxes on it. But you don't go into a deal because you want to avoid paying taxes. The saving taxes is kind of like if you were sitting at your kitchen table and the wind blew out the window $3 bills and one blows back in. You're not excited over the one that blew back in. You lost $2. So you want to make sure you don't lose money, or more importantly, you want to make money and focus on that rather than depreciation. Okay, a couple of things to point out. I think I mentioned the second Thursday of the month is the Real Estate Vendors Expo. We also started a Facebook group for that group as well, the Los Angeles County Real Estate Investors Club Facebook page. And we have now 392 members, and we're trying to build this out as a place to come and join and ask questions for the real estate vendors who are part of the program to share content. For people who have questions, mentor people to answer questions. So love to have you join us in Facebook at LA County Real Estate Investors Association. And we're at 392 members. Love to see us get over 400. If you guys would go and join there, then we'd love to have you participate in that. Okay. Questions, challenges. If you don't have a problem, I assure you, you're not working real estate, because real estate is about, I'll give you guys a quick summary. I'm a real estate broker in LA, and I focus on probate real estate. That's my niche. And what you can tell about a real probate real estate agent versus a fake one is fake ones and fake realtors will complain about problems. Real probate agents brag about the problems, because the more problems we solve, the more money we make. So for those of you who are new, you have a 9-to-5 job and you start on the side investing in real estate, you have a problem or two. Too many run for the hills as soon as there's a problem. Just know that if you have the problem, other people have the problem. If other people have done what you're doing, they figure out how to solve the problem. If you can solve the problem consistently, that's called a business. So I'm here to help you solve your problems. If you have any right now, raise your hand, put in the chat box. Love to answer any questions you have and see how we can be of assistance. Anybody have anything or any victories you want to share? No? Daniel, got your hand up. Great. What is going on, Daniel?
Yes, Bill. So I would say the issue that I'm having the most is deal generation.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do, I basically have two sources of income. The first is as a real estate agent, and that's pretty consistent. But the next thing is to buy and resell property. And I do that, but there's less deals available. like less wholesale deals that are worth looking at,
Mhm.
things like that. So those are really kind of what brought me to this group and to kind of see what was out there.
Well, great. Daniel, you're a real estate agent as well. Where do you sell real estate?
My niche is working with investors who buy and resell. So they're kind of, chasing deals. So it's really throughout San Bernardino County and Riverside County.
The IE.
Yeah.
So this is the number one consistent challenge of professionals: deal flow, right? Yeah. When I started in this as a podcaster, and I would interview investors, I started asking questions I'd never asked as a realtor, which was, how many deals do you look at for each one you buy? And I asked that question all the time for a few years. And the answer I used to get consistently was 100 deals for every one they buy. And not you, but brand new investors would tell me they look at 3 or 5 and they can't find anything. I'd say, right, you need to look, if you're efficient, you need to look at 100. If you don't know what you're doing, you probably have to look at 200 or 300 because you probably missed 1 or 2 along the way. Mm-hmm. But most new people look at 5 and think, well, I'd find one. There's no good deals. I'm going to give up. One day I was watching a podcaster in real estate who I liked a lot. And he said he was going to pull back for a period of time because whereas he used to have to look at 100 deals for every one he bought, the market changed where now he had to look at 150 for every one he bought. Right? It was 3% harder. So obviously, if it costs you a certain amount of money to get a deal, either you have to if it costs twice as much, you either have to make twice as much or do twice as much work for free. Nobody wants to do that. So you really hit on, I think, the key thing, which is in any business, how can you increase your productivity? If you're selling hamburgers, there's competitive pressures. You'd like to raise your price, but you raise your price, people buy less. You lower your price too much, you don't make any money. You don't make any revenue. Your net margins go away. In our business, to some degree, it's the same thing, but instead of raising or lowering your price, my guess is when you find a deal, you have a certain process, you average a certain net amount. So how many deals you have to look at? Well, if you only have so much time in a day and you're used to getting 100 deals a month, but it takes 150, that's a challenge. So I think the answer to your question, and it's the answer to the same question I have as a real estate broker, which is if the number of sales are down, I need to make the same money or more. How do I scale up the lead generation so I don't lower my productivity or my process? I don't want to spend twice as much money. So we have to always think about how do we talk to more people more efficiently. So for you, Daniel, I'd say one opportunity is, I'm glad to have you on the call. If I was a brand new investor or wholesaler out in Riverside, San Bernardino, I might reach out to you and say, hey, I'm done some bird dogging bound. I'm looking for, if I find a deal, would you tell me if it's a good deal? And what are you going to say?
Of course. Yeah.
So I don't know how many of these kind of calls you go on with an audience in your market, but if you went on twice as many, you would get twice as many lead deals. So it's like anything else. How do you scale up your business? I don't know all the answer for you, but for me, it's, the leverage of social media is a very powerful ingredient that lets me increase my reach, both in terms of geography and in depth, meaning, whereas last year, in the last 4 years, I only represented buyers, investors in probate court in LA County. My partner and I got together, the one that buys properties at probate, and we're now expanding to San Diego, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, Ventura, and Santa Barbara, which means I need to find an agent partner in each of those cities, counties, to help me work the court process with them in those areas. So I don't necessarily want to have to expand geographically, but that's the business. And if I do it smartly, I don't have to work more hours, but I just have to work smarter and squeeze out some other things I'm doing. So I don't know that I know the answer for you. I hope this call might be a piece of the answer for you. Anybody on the call, if you're interested in, if you find deals in Riverside or San Bernardino, I can't help you. Daniel can. Daniel, if someone to reach you, put your contact info in the chat box. You and I should connect up so I'm able to refer people to you. If something comes out that way, because love to help with that. Does that help a little bit at least?
It does. Yeah. I think for me, I've kind of avoided jumping on calls like this. I've been actually pretty busy with, my deal flow and kind of how I generate and do business. But in a declining market where, things are a little bit tougher and everybody is used to putting their house on the market and getting more than whatever they listed for. And that mentality change is difficult for some people. And so people are stuck at those higher prices, even though the environment is completely changed. And so there's less deals and things like that. And so as a result, I'm on here and maybe I had to get on more. So it's a good point.
I'm sure you do. I think that I would say that be careful also with your mindset, because it's true there are less sales overall in any market, right? If you take just LA, or you take San Bernardino and Riverside counties together, I'm sure the number of sales in those two counties today is down by 30-40%, right? Something like that. But if you added Orange County and you find a way to geographically expand, now there's the same number of deals, it's just further spread out. Well, how do you deal with that? I don't know. But if you figure that out, you now have the same number of deals you're chasing, just a little bigger geography. So you have to figure out how to do it and do it efficiently and not spend more money and time, or else you have the same problem. So, and I'm not sure every call is viable, number one. I'd love to make this one valuable for you. I'd like your vibe. But number two, also, you have to make it valuable. I don't know there's any value to just being on a call with your camera off and muted and not paying attention. But I do think that if you come in and introduce what you're doing and or put in the chat box what you're doing and your contact info, I'm speaking to everybody else at this point, then you're more likely to get some business out of it. So I think we all have to look at participating more often and participating at a higher level, on whatever we do.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Great meeting you again and talking to you, and thanks for being on. Okay. So Christopher says, if you're interested in flips in the off market in LA County, 90059 near Magic Johnson Park. I'm not sure where Magic Johnson Park is, and I live in LA. Where's Magic Johnson Park? Is that down? I know where Magic used to have like that Crenshaw Boulevard development. There's a Magic Johnson Park. The things you learn when you host a podcast near the 110, 105. Look at that in Willowbrook. The things you learn when you host a podcast. Okay. Thank you, Christopher. In the chat box, you've been looking for an off-market flip. He's got one there. So hit up Chris with that information, and he will help you out with that. Chris could the 110 and the 110 105. Yeah, so Willowbrook, south of the 110, south of 105, south of Century. I used to have a listing right near there at Main Street and 108th. And right near there. Wow. Okay, good. Near Martin Luther King Hospital. There you go. Okay. Jack Lapidus, nice to see you. Great attorney, friend of our show. Great friend of our show. Unfortunately, UCLA fan, but despite that, he's really a great guy. So welcome to the show. And
I'm wearing red today, though.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't have to Photoshop you out wearing a UCLA sweatshirt. That's always challenging technically. Okay. So look, I think I had a little challenge here that I did not confirm with my guest today. So I'm sorry about that. But the good news is if you have any other questions, here's a chance to chat about real estate investment. Anybody else have a problem, challenge I can help with? It's funny, Jack came on my Thursday call. Now, I don't know whether that becomes billable hours or not as an attorney, but at least there was a lead that you're willing to talk to them about, right? So how did you get that? He showed up and participates, has his camera on. So I think that's one way to generate business that can work. Though I think you might say to me, well, yeah, Bill, but it's not business. I can get paid on it and I waste my time. But I'll say to you,
if I'm not available, he can answer questions.
Well, he's actually a little smarter than you are. Did I just say that? I'm just really foul. That's just not fair. Okay. Any other questions, challenges, problems? Otherwise, we'll call it a wrap. Look, we do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Usually we have a guest interview. Today was more of a question and answer. Daniel, great getting a chance to chat with you. Hope I get a chance to talk to you personally and the rest of you as well. Have a great week. Hope to See you guys next week. On Thursdays, I have Probate Weekly, 4 p.m. on Thursdays. You go to probateweekly.com if you want to join there and find out about properties in probate and how that all works. And if I don't speak to you guys, have a great week. Thank you so much.